extremely disappointing. I also work in healthcare, so I don't know how you can work in healthcare and vote that way either. So
there's a lot of I know a lot of nurses. They're kind of all over the map when it comes to their political leanings.
And I don't know. It's really disappointing to me. I think to be a nurse and be in healthcare, you have to serve people of all kinds of like socioeconomic backgrounds. So I can't imagine marginalizing anybody or staying in that career field if you want to keep doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about the idea of there even just being female Trump supporters? Do you have any friends that are women that voted for Trump or no? Same goes for you.
Yes.
Yes.
And you have to learn to love people despite their choices that they make.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, everyone has a choice and everyone's allowed to vote how they want to vote and do what they do. That's why we have like 2 political parties. But
have you had conversations with your friends about that? Do you debate about it at all or no?
People that are willing to have an open conversation, I'm willing to have like an open conversation, but I often find most Trump supporters are a little bit closed-minded, and I'm not gonna waste my breath or energy on people that have no interest in solving a problem versus just I'm right or you're wrong kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how much time you have, but Lisa right here, this woman voted for Donald Trump.
Oh no.
And
like your outfit.
Thank you. I like your jacket.
We're doing a collaboration on this video if you want to get in here too. Lisa, I don't know if you could hear over the sirens. She was saying for many of her friends that voted for Donald Trump that are women, close-minded. And what do you see them being close-minded on, if you don't mind elaborating on that a little bit? Maybe for Lisa, who voted for Trump?
I work in healthcare too, that's what I was saying. I just can't imagine voting that way and marginalizing like so many people when my job is
a nurse anesthetist, right?
Oh,
She was a nurse anesthetist at Jefferson, and
Yeah.
she's a hardcore. I have mic on.
Yeah, but it's
Okay.
not.
All right. So anyway, I voted. She voted for Trump too. I think that now, like you were saying, it's hard to like have a conversation, and like people like us or Trump supporters aren't super open-minded. But I think there's a lot of things that we can agree on now. Like your party, the Democrats, were for like no new wars. We want these wars to end. We want all those things to happen. I mean, that's what the whole administration is like geared towards. We also have like with the advent of like bringing in RFK and Tulsi.
Oh my God, that's
Wait,
hysterical.
but no, we do have there are necessary reforms that need to be made within the healthcare system about like overall wellness and keeping people completely healthy. And I think that there's definitely some overlap where we could like find some common ground.
Oh no, I said if they're willing to have like a conversation, we can find common ground. I'm willing to find common ground. I just like oftentimes find people aren't looking to find common ground.
I think that's certainly an issue that I think a lot of people share across the board. We do this all over the country, and I hear that a lot. So I think a lot of people agree with you. You know, it is about opening your mind, having a conversation. As for you, Mama Bear, what was hysterical about what she just said?
RFK Jr. in charge of healthcare? My God,
You
we
see who we have
eradicated polio and other diseases, and now they're all going to come back because he doesn't think children should be vaccinated.
No, that's not
I'm
true.
an old white woman, and we grew up learning to be kind, empathetic, nice. He is evil. He is none of those things.
RFK or Trump?
No, this is Trump.
Okay, we're
This
talking
is
about Trump.
Yeah, I mean, he is everything the antithesis of what your parents told you, my parents, I taught my children to be. He is not a good person whatsoever, and I can't understand how all
He's
these
a wonderful
people.
person.
And I met him too in the '80s when he screwed a family of ours that lived in Delaware County that worked on one of his casinos down the shore, and we were feeding that family because he had to keep his business going and pay for those people.
Do you think
I have
he's
no-
evil? Did she vote for somebody that's an evil person, and Biden and Harris,
He
they are
doesn't
not
care
evil?
about you. He
I
doesn't
don't
care
think
about
he's a
me.
good person. Absolutely not. She voted racial politics, and that's fine. I don't think he's a good person.
Okay.
Like there's things like Clinton's a bad person, good president. Jimmy Carter, bad president, amazing person.
What matters when it comes to if you guys are thinking 15 years down the road?
Right.
Do you care about somebody's personality, or do you care about the policies that they support and enact?
Well, policies are important, but so is your character. I don't want my children to ever emulate this horrible human being that's going to be president again.
Well, Lisa, what would your response be
I mean,
to that as a woman that voted for Trump?
I just think that that's so misguided. I think that that's what like the media has turned it to be. Before he decided to put an R next to his name and come down the escalator, everyone loved him. Oprah had him on.
I didn't love him. Never loved him.
That may be you, but like Everybody loved him. Thought he was super generous. He got NAACP
Not generous.
awards.
It's all scam.
He let people stay in his like that. I forget what her name was. The little singer. Her family got shot. He let her stay for free in Trump Hotel forever.
It's a game. He only cares about himself.
Would you agree that more people liked him before you ran for president, or no?
I don't know. I never have liked the man, and since my teen years and what he did to our neighbor, never have liked him. I've seen through him, and I can't understand how he's like people have drinking the Kool-Aid. It's unbelievable how much they would actually drink it like Jim Jones and die for this guy.
So even if that's the case, I told you that my mom worked for Jefferson, right? And so Howard Krein is obviously Ashley Biden's husband. My mom worked with them, knows about the family very well, and let me tell you, those people are not good people, right? So like, if that's politics and you're worried about character, well, they all have terrible characters. If I were to agree with you and say what you're saying is true,
in that position, you
right?
do have a
Okay.
certain
So then we can back up and forget character and go to the policies.
Horrible human being. I just can't understand how people vote for him.
Oh, I love the man.
Do you think there could be, I mean, you have a personal disagreement. You haven't liked Donald Trump. You really didn't like his performance on The Apprentice. I understand that. When it comes down to his policies, I mean, do you think there was a reasonable reason to vote for Donald Trump based on policy compared to, let's say, Joe Biden or Kamala Harris?
Well, he just lies about everything, so I don't believe anything. He's not going to do anything. I mean, I think we're pigeonholed if you're a Republican or a Democrat one way or the other. I don't think that's true.
What lies specifically do you have the biggest problem with that really affect people's lives?
Well, the border. He is not going to send everybody back on day one and close the border and I mean, yeah, something has to be done at the border, but it's impossible. They've already said it's going to cost billions of dollars even to move so many different people. So that's a complete lie that he's told everybody. I mean,
he's not in office yet, though, so nothing's happened yet,
but
right?
He's been promising that.
That is
mass
deportation.
He didn't do it that time either.
Well, it was way record lows for crossing the border.
Mass deportation is definitely a campaign promise. If he fails at that, if he totally blows it off, you'd probably consider that a lie. But you think you think him just saying it alone is a lie. Lisa, what do you think about that?
I think that he's definitely going to try. I think that 1/3 of Americans, what is it? No, it's more than that.
2/3.
2/3 of Americans, including 1/3 of Democrats, want mass deportations on a large scale. One party was offering that, one party wasn't. Donald
I don't
Trump,
think that's true. I think the Biden administration was starting to do it, and they actually proved that he actually did have more closures at the border in the last 6 months.
There were record crossings under him. Have you looked at the data?
I disagree. Again, it's the problem is the news, and people don't believe the truth anymore. So it depends on who you're listening to and what programs that they're feeding people. So it's hard. I just listen to NPR. I don't listen to CNN and Fox because they're all giving.
We don't either. I don't anyway.
But can't you look at the administration's data and draw your conclusion from there? Is that correct?
Yeah, but I mean, even his cabinet picks are just atrocious so far. I mean, the guy for defense, he's assaulting women.
We're talking about Trump right now?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Trump and his potential.
It's really funny that everybody on the right that has ever been a controversial pick, and then they gets an accusation against them, Clarence Thomas. It started with him, and then we have
Trump was convicted of 34 crimes. So I mean, he's a convicted felon.
He's actually not. Actually, he's not. There was no sentencing, and you're not a convicted felon until sentencing happens.
And he's
not
convicted of assaulting the woman.
No,
too,
he wasn't. That's not true either.
So
he was found liable.
Who was he convicted of assaulting?
The woman, I don't forget her name.
The one with no evidence. Lacey
Jean Carroll. I think it was Jean Carroll.
The one with there was no evidence at all.
He was convicted. So, at 34 counts, he was convicted. I mean, whether you say it or not. But
he's
and we actually
not
voted for him. That's what's the scary part of this country.
If you're convicted of that, you're talking about the civil case, correct?
Yeah, he was found guilty of it. I mean, and the whole thing, even when in 2016 when he got elected, that was a joke too. I mean, whatever that program was that he's talking about women. I mean, how he talks about women. We're more than 50% of the country.
How does he talk about women?
Grab you by the. That wasn't.
No, he said let them. And first of all, have you ever seen
He's assaulting Jean Carroll. I mean, he's
very through.
I do want to clarify the Jean Carroll case. That's a civil case right there, and that is not the same thing as being criminally liable for assaulting a woman. You'd be going to jail for that.
I just can't believe believe
Just to
people
clarify.
be voted for him. It's really, it's
the
disheartening.
payout was a defamation suit as well. So I want to make sure I clarify that.
Whatever.
I'm just telling you what happened.
I mean, only 60% of the country voted, and less than half voted for him. So he doesn't have a mandate. So I don't understand that whole business.
Do you want, before we jump around everywhere, I just want to, one more thing. When it comes down to Donald Trump's bad for women, do you guys both agree that Donald Trump as a president is going to be bad for women or no?
He already is. He stopped.
Okay.
I mean,
And then
Roe
you?
versus Wade.
I mean, yeah, Roe versus Wade is enough. Enough damage has been done for that, especially for women of like a lower socioeconomic class. If you ever read Freakonomics, read the chapter about like crime in the 80s going up, whatever, and then Roe went into place, and people who had access to like affordable abortions, especially younger African American women, and that could access these, then a whole wave of like children were born who didn't have the privileges to live in. So yes.
Lisa,
Now they're dead instead.
what do you think?
But
Do
now
you
they're
think that
dead
Trump is
instead.
going
All
to be
those
bad
children
for
are dead now.
women?
Well,
Abortions won't stop. They're just gonna get
they
scarier and dangerous, and people are going to
First
get.
of all, abortions have actually
the
gone
city
up.
of Philadelphia is the where the guy used to do back alley
Gurnell.
abortions with.
But
the,
that was during what?
hanger.
No, that was Gurnell, and he would actually like have a partial birth abortion, stab him in the neck afterwards. That's what happened in that. But with that was all while that was happening while Roe versus Wade was still law of the land. Actually, abortions have gone up since the overturning of Roe v. Wade because now that they've
I'm fine with abortions. If you don't want to have a kid, you shouldn't have a kid.
But I'm just against murder. But like, forget that part. My point is that it hasn't hurt women because Roe versus Wade, right? Like, it brought it back to the states where it originally belongs, and now because the pill is more widely available, actually there has been more abortions, more access to abortions now than there has been prior to that, which I'm not happy with.
Your thoughts on this?
You should have an abortion if you want to have an abortion.
Yeah, that's like saying, okay,
It's my choice, and that's your choice.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you can have all the kids you want.
I'm just saying
and
that
I can have no
murder.
kids.
Like, if
And
you're
that's
okay with
fine.
murdering your child, that's okay.
Oh, I'll kill them all. Like,
Wow.
it's
Really?
fine. I'm just saying, if I don't want to have a kid, I shouldn't have to have a kid.
So
Nobody should have to be forced to have a child.
Is Trump going to change that for you?
Yes.
No.
His administration is going to change
It's
that for
already
you.
changed.
Where do you live?
Here.
I live in New Jersey
and you have a high access to abortion, right? Like you could have
right now, but that doesn't. I mean, everything's
The
changing.
state's not going to change it. The laws with the state, they're not going to change it.
And then the states that it's already changed, it's already causing problems
It's
for
not.
like those women. Like people are dying.
That's not true.
Who's dying specifically to debunk what she just said? It's not true.
Not true.
Well, just the women who have like late term abortions. My friend's a labor and delivery nurse in Austin, Texas, and she used to be a labor and delivery nurse in Pennsylvania. And she was like, the things that are happening here are just so atrocious. And she voted for Trump. She's like a Trump supporter the first time around. So these women that want to have children. So I said I don't care about abortions. Women that want to have children now aren't allowed to have abortions when it's not safe for them, and then they like either they lose their child, and then they can lose the access to actually have a child later on in like their life. If that's
And how do you think that would work? Because I'm very familiar with this whole the process. So you're saying like what you're trying to say is women have a miscarriage and then they can't get a DNC. Is that like we're
Yes,
or a
that's what's happening
DNA?
in, like,
But
Texas.
that's actually not true. It's proven that that's not true. As a matter of fact, if anything, because I've had people in my family who have had miscarriages, and so they do make you wait a couple days, like right, to see if your body naturally expels the fetus and the placenta. Okay, but after that happens, these women, right? They'll call up and they'll say, oh no, that level of bleeding is fine, and the women aren't going in, and then they're retroactively blaming it on not getting a D&E when they were already scheduled for the D&E, or the DNC. So like. That's not actually what's happening when you review each of the
on
cases.
the news who actually
Yeah,
said
but-
they've
but-
had problem where they've been denied care. So
Well,
I think that's horrible that a woman
when you
who
actually
actually
review
wants
the
that
cases,
child,
that's not what
it's
happened.
affecting their body and they're denied care. And I don't think that should happen ever in
not
this
happening.
country. Nobody, I mean, Republicans are big on like, hey, my opinion, I can do what I want. And here's one big thing
But
that
we
they
can't
said
just
no.
go around and kill. Like if I decide I don't want my 3-month-old because I'm up in the middle of the night and I'm stressed,
Yeah, but that's
I can't
3 months.
kill that baby.
Correct,
Right?
because That's
So-
a 3-month-old.
No, you're right. They're not
Come on.
right because it's horrible. But what's the difference?
But if
it's
a
2 months
10-year-old
before that? If
is
it's 4
impregnated
months
by
before that?
a stranger or a
You
father,
always go
they
to like
should-
the .00001%
well, whatever.
of cases.
They shouldn't have a child.
No,
at
if you don't
10
have
Over
a
90%
kid, if you
of
don't have a
abortions.
kid, you should not have to have a kid. It is
you
everyone's
shouldn't have sex.
personal choice.
True. I mean, but that's it. I mean, I would never have an abortion, but that's not.
Because
That's
it's
me.
murder.
But anybody,
everyone's-
somebody else should have the.
Is anybody against that right there when it says if you don't want to have a kid, don't have a kid?
Well, if you got rid of abortions, then you're basically saying you that, yes.
No, we're saying don't engage in the activity that creates children.
But you're also just not letting people have access to it. People that don't have education to understand what sex is, then don't have access to things when they are put in
So
situations.
stupid people can murder their kids.
And just poor uneducated people. You're just, if you don't have the resources, is it fair to call someone stupid if they their school isn't great, they don't learn, they don't have
I don't know if
basic
they're saying
health
it.
I'm
I was
actually not familiar
clarifying.
with school districts around the country that aren't teaching
Sex ed. They all
sex
are.
ed,
And
basic sex
earlier
ed.
every
You
year.
go to Catholic school.
They don't at
Catholic school does
basic
not.
at a Catholic school. They don't
I
teach basic
I
sex
went
ed.
to
Catholic
Catholic
school.
school my whole life, and I got sex ed.
Well, I sent all my children to Catholic school. I went to Catholic school for 16 years, and there was never once a sex education class that I
Well, maybe
took
people
part
just
in.
aren't aware of how babies are made. I guess we'll try to find those people. But all right, you guys. Well, hey,
Thanks for
thank you for
talking,
your
though.
time.
We appreciate you.